Hey guys, here we go into a video breaking down Canelo Alvarez versus Jermall Charlo if this matchup were to take place. Now, I think this fight can be summed up in talking about the lack of positions that Jermall Charlo knows how to fight in, and we're going to illustrate this by showing all the positions that Canelo can fight in. Being on the front foot, being on the back foot, using his head movement to move around the ring freely. Another very good use of his active guard, right, and fighting out of positions is his ability to set up fighting on the front foot here, then to the back foot, then to the front foot, and then setting up a pattern to break with his opponent as he shifts and crosses his opponent's line using his active guard to set up that jab. Not only setting up punches like that with his jab, but setting up great right hands like this as well when his opponent is not ready to change positions with him, using his active guard to feint and set up these attacks when his opponent, again, is not ready for these positional changes, using each one of these positional changes to set up a new attack, right? Fantastic fighter, and Canelo using a great use of his active guard to set up not only his offense, but also his defense as well, as we see in this first clip. Just simply changing positions and cycling through front foot, back foot, and weight transitions. Now, Jermall Charlo doesn't actually have an active guard. As you can see here, sitting on the line with his opponent, not changing positions, not feinting, not probing, just kind of standing there in front of his opponent, allowing his opponent to shoot a feint at him and set up a body shot. Now, this is a very common flaw for Charlo. He has a very, very difficult time changing positions, moving his head from the front foot to the back foot. And because of this, it makes it very easy for his opponents to read when he's going to attack him. As you can see Bryan Adams here, just taking a small step back, easily being able to get away from him. Again, Jermall Charlo barreling forward, trying to go through the motions, trying to change positions, but telegraphing all of his attacks because of the way that his weight directs forward in one motion. Again, no real chance to set up his attacks here. No feints, no probes, and never changing positions, again, unless he's punching. Mr. Adams has terrific defense for this and is able to avoid all of these attacks from Charlo. Another problem with not having the most active guard, again, is that if your head is always on the line, it's going to be easy for your opponent to find it. So this lack of head movement is also going to make it easier for Canelo to find Charlo's head, as Bryan Adams demonstrates here, as well as here, on the same basic timing, catching him with that jab, forward, back, forward, and then into the shot. Again, because Charlo doesn't move his head, he doesn't have an active guard, he doesn't change positions. This is also leads to an increased amount of times in which your feints are more effective. As you can see, Mr. Adams feinting one time with the lead hand before stabbing the jab to the body and closing the distance, finding it very easy for himself to close the distance and control Charlo. Now, as well as using other tactics like feinting, probing with his lead hand, controlling his opponent on the front foot, this is also going to stop Charlo from being able to set up his offense. And because of the fact that Charlo doesn't have an active guard, he doesn't feint, he doesn't probe, he doesn't have a way to combat this, as Bryan Adams uses this control to stop Charlo from changing positions. Now, the more that happens in a fight, the more often your opponent is going to take the few opportunities they do have to punch at you to throw vicious combinations at you. And as you can see, the little control that Bryan Adams was using against Charlo was enough to stop him from setting up any of these attacks and just making it very easy for Mr. Adams to get away from them, to defend himself. Now, again, the lack of an active guard and lack of changing positions makes it, again, increasingly easy for your opponent to feint you and makes him think he's going to go to the body and then come over the top, right? Makes it very easy to set these shots up using only one weight transfer. Very, very, very small investment to land such a powerful punch. And as you can see, this is a problem that Charlo has throughout his fight with Mr. Adams. Constantly in line, getting feinted and set up for attacks. Again, even some punches as simple as the jab, controlling him with the lead hand upstairs, and then jabbing to the body. Very, very simple shots for him. And then also, the more opportunities that your opponent feels comfortable taking without setting up their attacks, because you're controlling them, because they don't have an active guard, because they're not feinting, the more opportunities you have to counter them and land counter punches against the attacks that they forget or they fail to set up. Now, when he fought Daniel Jacobs, this is very similarly to how the fight went when Danny Jacobs was in the beginning of the fight and not using positions as well. Having a difficult time setting up his attacks, getting Canelo out of position, and then getting his head off the line. As you see, Daniel Jacobs suffers from the same problem. The only difference is I think Daniel Jacobs is actually a really good fighter. He's very solid and still having a very difficult time not changing positions and setting up his attacks. I think Canelo gets a piece of almost all of these shots here and is able to still slip and roll these attacks. Now, again, the lack of an active guard and setups from Jermall Charlo's attacks are going to mean he's open for counters like this all night, right? As Canelo looks to defend his position and then counter to the body here. This is going to be the kind of attack that's open to Canelo Alvarez all night because Charlo doesn't look to feint before he uses his jab. Much like Jacobs is doing here, looking to control Canelo, he's getting timed on that attack because Canelo is ready for it. This is not a timing that he hasn't seen. He's waiting for these attacks because he's a professional fighter. This is not the first time someone has thrown a jab at Canelo. So easily able to pick these shots up and counter because of the fact that Daniel Jacobs is not setting them up. He's not really feinting. He's not disguising these attacks. And he's not using any head movement. He's not changing positions. So these are all attacks that are going to be very, very, very easy for Canelo to land against Jermall Charlo. Canelo Alvarez is also very good at feinting. As he feints here, shoots the right hand to the body, he's easily able to get Daniel Jacobs out of position. And as we saw in the film study, Jermall Charlo is very susceptible to feints because of the fact that he doesn't change positions. And as we see Canelo landing a beautiful left hook upstairs here off of his jab feint, right hand feint, gets into position one all the way on the front foot, and Daniel Jacobs isn't ready for him to be in that position and winds up getting clocked with the left hook in the wrong position. But again, just using very good feints and very good setups to his attacks and able to open up many more attacks for him against his opponents, especially ones like Jermall Charlo, who don't have a very active guard, who are very susceptible to this style of defense, this style of offense. This is going to be very, very difficult for Jermall Charlo to deal with if his head is always in one position. As you can see here, there's no guard for Daniel Jacobs. He's not looking to control. Well, he is looking to control Canelo, but Canelo is timing those controls and is able to fight and work around them because he's used to it, because of this level of craft, because of the way that he uses his active guard to hide, get on the line with his opponent, and then disguise his attacks and land really, really, really powerful shots. Again, this is going to be very, very difficult for Charlo to deal with, and because of that simple fact, it leads me to believe that Jermall Charlo has 0% chance of beating Canelo Alvarez, and Canelo Alvarez will very likely be getting a knockout within the first 6 rounds, in my opinion. So anyway, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. If you're curious to learn about positioning and how to fight and how to change positions and how to learn how to box in I want to call it a supportive community of other fighters who are also looking to grow as fighters, join my Patreon. It's only $10 a month right now, and for a limited time, I'll be doing free coaching and free video training. So you can send me your heavy bag videos, your shadow boxing videos, sparring videos, and I'll be doing film studies and critiquing you and giving you drills and things that you can work on, as well as using maybe some of your favorite fighters to demonstrate and highlight the types of techniques that you're looking to learn. But anyway, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And as always, yeah, I appreciate you guys, all you guys that are my patrons, that have been following me for the last few years. I'm really excited to take the Patreon to the next level and really start teaching and coaching and decompartmentalizing the ideas in boxing, breaking down the colloquialisms, the things in boxing that are wrong, that people are not learning, and teaching people how to reorganize the way they think about boxing so that they can understand what they see in the ring and then take it to the next level and learn how to use it themselves. But anyway, thank you for all the support. I really appreciate you guys and all the feedback from the patrons. I really appreciate your guys' great comments. And yeah, thanks guys.